Nikola Jokic over the past 2 years has ascended to superstar status. In the process, he won back-to-back MVPs while facing numerous attacks from the media, fans, and even players. And at this point for Jokic, he definitely is respected and appreciated, but the overall narrative surrounding him have switched up so many times, I'm having a hard time keeping track. As back in 2021, coming into the season, nobody thought Jokic could win MVP. What did he do? He won the award. The next year, minus his two best teammates, nobody thought Jokic could win back-to-back. What did he do? He carried Denver to 48 wins and won his second consecutive MVP. Now this year, coming into the season, the overall narrative was that Denver could not be one of the best teams in the West despite being healthy. So far, Jokic is leading Denver to the first seed in the Western Conference and the second best record in the NBA. And to give you guys some more context, last year, the talking heads on TV said Denver, if they were healthy, would not be successful the following season.
Does anybody actually think that if they had that this team that is going to get swept by Golden State, if they had Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., who's a big question mark, that they're title favorites? Because that's the implication. You are not Jamal
favorites.
Murray away
That's fair.
from being this bad. You're simply not. But the implication all year long has been, oh, he would be having the 60-some wins and be the title favorites, Brew.
That overall take right there, so far, has aged like milk, as once again Denver is the best team in the West by a pretty healthy margin. But my overall point of showing you guys that clip is once again the narrative surrounding Jokic. They flip-flop constantly depending on the season, his team, and the overall health of the Nuggets. And when it comes to some NBA fans, it is pretty sad. They'll never be satisfied with Jokic or give him his due credit, as till this day you have some guys arguing Jokic isn't even better than Anthony Day-to-Day Davis.
I don't think a healthy AD and a healthy Joker is nowhere near him.
You don't think a healthy AD is near Jokic?
No, I don't think Joker's nowhere near Anthony Davis when healthy.
What has AD done so where you're like, okay, I'm putting him over Jokic?
Other than the creativity that Joker has in terms of rebounds and in terms of points, AD is a supremely better defender. So if I'm comparing them two when both of them healthy and on the court, AD clears him.
I don't want to be too disrespectful or mean to that guy, but having a take like that in 2023 proves everyone should not talk basketball. As looking at Jokic as the first option compared to Anthony Davis, who's playing second fiddle to a senior citizen, I don't think these two guys are in the same ballpark. And looking at Jokic this year, while still being healthy, he is averaging 25 points, 11 boards, nearly 10 assists on 63, 38, and 82 splits. And most impressive, when Jokic is healthy and playing, his Denver team has a win percentage of 73.8, which is on pace for 61 wins. If you truly think Anthony Davis is better than Jokic, answer these three questions with complete certainty. Could Anthony Davis, as the lone all-star on his team, carry a squad to 48 wins in the West like Jokic did last year? Absolutely not. Could Anthony Davis be the clear-cut number one guy on the best team in the West? Nope. Could Anthony Davis play 90% of the games in a season like Jokic has done for the past 5 years? Absolutely not. Those three questions right there point to Jokic being the clear-cut better player than Anthony Davis. But if you want to go one step further, looking at Jokic this year, he is on track to the highest win percentage in a triple-double season of all time. And even more impressive, this year Jokic, when he records a triple-double, is 15-0, averaging 26 points, 14 boards, 12 assists on simply absurd shooting splits. And looking through NBA history, for a center all-time right now, Jokic has the highest assist average of all time, ahead of Wilt Chamberlain. And speaking of Wilt, from an offensive perspective, scoring, passing, playmaking, it's Jokic and Chamberlain as the best bigs of all time, with Bill Walton as a close third. And looking past those big men and getting back to Anthony Davis, yes, Anthony Davis is a better overall defender. But looking at the entire game and how one player can affect a team, Jokic clears AD pretty easily, being the more efficient scorer, the much better passer, the better rebounder, the better shooter, and the better post player. And if you watch Denver games constantly, the attention Jokic demands is unlike any other big besides Giannis Antetokounmpo, as if he's in the post and he gets doubled, he can find shooters or guys diving to the rim for easy layups. For Anthony Davis, his offensive versatility, while impressive, is not on that level. And one more thing I do want to discuss when it comes to Jokic, he is actually a highly underrated playoff performer. As in every playoff run of his career, he's been phenomenal and at the very least above average, averaging 26 points, 12 boards, 6 assists on 52, 39, and 84 splits. And unlike Anthony Davis, Jokic has had success without a fellow superstar, as AD minus LeBron James has really accomplished nothing. As in New Orleans, for 7 solid years, he won a total of 1 playoff series. I repeat, Anthony Davis in New Orleans won 1 playoff series. For me personally, it's pretty cut and dry. Nikola Jokic is the face of a franchise compared to Anthony Davis, who's playing second fiddle to a 38-year-old LeBron James. And looking past Anthony Davis and getting back to the main point of the video, that being media bias and media narratives, when it comes to ESPN, the talking heads are constantly moving the goalposts when it comes to Nikola Jokic. As in this following clip, you're going to see Richard Jefferson debating Giannis versus Jokic and who is the MVP. And as you could have guessed, once again, he moves the goalpost.
And this is where we disagree. Now, I love Jokic. I think he's the man. There's no dispute. But his last 2 MVPs were given because, not he's next level, but it's because everybody was like, he's doing this without Jamal Murray. He's doing this without Michael Porter Jr. And they finished 4th, they finished 6th. They're lower in the standings. Right now, Giannis, number 3. No Chris Middleton half the year, Drew Holiday in and out of the lineup. So the same narrative that we use to give Jokic his MVPs the last 2 years, Giannis is filling that exact same thing. Don't tell me that this team would be 3rd in the Eastern Conference with the possibility of moving up. So you got one person that's won, that has his entire healthy roster for the most part. Every team gets banged up. And you have a player that is missing his other 2 All-Stars. They have played 69 minutes together. I know. And then look, this is what Giannis does. He shows up. He's a 4th on both ends, and a little love to Brook Lopez.
That video clip right there is pretty close to smoking gun that once again proves Jokic is damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. As last year, carrying a team to 48 wins and winning MVP was a massive outrage. But this year, getting back his 2 best players and being the 1st seed in the West, now he's held back by not carrying a team. The overall narrative shift from this year to last year is definitely pretty insane. And looking at Jokic versus Giannis and the overall debate, I think Jokic actually has had a better season than the Greek Freak. And like Jefferson said, Giannis this year is carrying his Bucks team and having a dominant season. That is definitely 100% true, as Chris Middleton has been a shell of himself, barely playing 10 games. Now, with that being said, in my own personal view, Jokic still is carrying his Denver team a little bit harder, as this year, he's leading them in points, assists, rebounds, and steals. And Michael Porter Jr. has missed 15 plus games, and Jamal Murray has been very inconsistent, with the first month of the season being absolutely awful, only averaging 15 points per game. And looking at both their rosters this year, Jokic has 6 players averaging double figures, compared to Giannis, who has 5. You could definitely say Jokic has more offensive help and better weapons surrounding him at this point in time. But defensively for Giannis this year, his help is infinitely better than the Joker's. As on the perimeter, he has Drew Holiday, a first-team all-defensive player, and in the post has Brook Lopez, arguably the best rim protector in the game, who's averaging 2.5 blocks. And one more thing I do want to throw in there, looking at Jokic, once again, he is averaging an historic triple-double and is the 1st seed in the West. For Giannis, he's averaging 30, 12, and 5 and having a great season. But in terms of all-time historic feats, Giannis this year is not on that level of someone like Jokic. And over the past month, we've seen Giannis have numerous dud games where he's weirdly out of it, kind of hurt, banged up, and he wasn't typical Giannis throwing down dunks and scoring 30. In terms of overall play, consistency, roster health, and overall record, Jokic this year has a better MVP case than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, with that last point being made, that is the end of the video, and once again, I want to expose the hypocrisy of the NBA media, their changing standards, and how their narratives flip-flop from month to month, and even year to year. As always, thank you guys for watching, hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time.